Kindling, where old stories spark new flames as we travel across the African continent, gathering tales that have warmed hearts and guided minds for generations. Today, we journey to the small but spirited kingdom of Eswatini, a land of misty mountains, royal traditions, and vibrant storytelling. Eswatini is one of the last remaining monarchies in Africa, a land where culture is not just preserved, but proudly lived out. Now, our story today is entitled Umfana Lubega Libele, the Forgetful Boy. It's a story about how easily we can forget to think for ourselves, and of course, how costly that can be. So come close and let the story begin. Once, not too long ago, in a quiet village tucked between hills and fields, there lived a boy who loved two things above all else: visiting his grandmother and trying his very best to do the right thing. Now, the boy didn't have very many friends, and so he spent most days at home helping his mother around the house. And on the other days, he would walk along the dusty path through the grasslands to visit his beloved grandmother. His grandmother always welcomed him with a big, warm hug, and she often gave him a little gift at the end of each visit to take home, something small but thoughtful. Now, one day, grandmother handed the boy a block of fresh homemade butter. "Give this to your mother," she said. The boy, excited and pleased, tucked the butter under his arm and ran all the way home. But the sun was fierce that day, and by the time he arrived home, the butter had melted into a complete puddle that ran all the way down his shirt. When his poor mother saw him, she sighed. "Oh, my child," she said, "if only you had dipped the butter in the river beside the road on your way home, it wouldn't have melted." The poor boy nodded. He felt very foolish, but he promised himself that he would learn from his mistake. The very next day, he returned to his grandmother's house, and this time she gave him a little puppy, a lively, fluffy little thing with big ears that flopped over its eyes. "Take good care of it," she said. And the boy was so excited, he began the journey home with the puppy trotting beside him. But halfway home, the puppy started to whine and fuss and fidget and tug at its lead. Then it growled and tried to run back home to the grandmother's house. Well, the boy now remembered his mother's words. If only you had dipped it in the river, and without thinking, he scooped up the puppy and placed it in the water. But the puppy, of course, splashed and struggled, and so the boy, thinking that it needed to be deeper in the water, pushed it in further. But, of course, by the time he pulled the puppy out and walked the rest of the way home, the puppy was still gone. His mother gasped, "Oh no, my child, you were meant to tie it around the neck with a piece of string and pull it along." The boy felt a heavy ache in his heart. He had done wrong again, and so a whole week passed before he visited his grandmother once more. But finally, he returned to his grandmother, and he was a little quieter this time. Well, of course, his grandmother greeted him with the biggest hug, and to try and cheer him up, she gave him a bundle of dumplings wrapped up in leaves. This time, the boy thought hard. He did not want to get shouted at again or to get it wrong. And so, thinking back to his mother's last advice, you were supposed to tie a string around it and pull it along. He went and found a piece of string, tied it around the dumplings, and dragged them all the way home. But of course, by the time he got home, dragging the dumplings along the road, the dumplings had completely crumbled to nothing but dust and crumbs, and only a small piece remained tied to a piece of string. "Oh, my child," said his mother in exasperation, "you were meant to put them in your hands in a plastic bag and carry them like this." Well, the poor boy could have cried. He was so frustrated. He always got things wrong. He didn't know what to do. But he was determined to get at least one thing right. And so, finally, one more time, he returned to his grandmother's house for a visit. And this time, his grandmother gave him a beautiful, fluffy, soft-feathered white dove. "A present for your mother," she said. "Take care of it." Now the boy received the dove and, of course, remembered his mother's previous advice. He quickly found a plastic bag, put the dove inside, wrapped it up carefully, and carried it all the way home. But of course, by the time he arrived home, the dove was no more. As he opened the bag up proudly, ready to show his mother and present it to her, she saw only a still lifeless dove. It had suffocated in the plastic bag. This time, his mother opened her mouth and she could not find any words. She was silent. And the boy too stood in silence, knowing that he had failed once more. And that was the end of the story. Well, sometimes, even when your heart means well and you try your very best, things still go wrong. The boy in this story tried and tried, but each time he missed the mark, not because he didn't listen, but because he didn't truly understand the instructions that he had been given. He simply followed what he had been told without really thinking about what he was actually doing. Now, his journey reminds us that advice is only useful when it's given in time. And of course, although his mother tried to help, she perhaps made things worse by always commenting after the fact and not teaching the boy to truly think for himself. Well, this Siswati tale is entitled Umfana Lubegalibele, which means the forgetful boy. But really, it speaks to all of us when we forget to learn, forget to adapt, and forget to trust our own judgment. Of course, things will go wrong. Thank you for listening once again. And if this story lit a spark in you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Kindling channel. And come back next week as we travel back up northeast in the continent to the highlands of Ethiopia. Until then, keep telling stories.